invented this? It's incredibly perilous.
So we're still on the Trent and Mersey in Staffordshire, and we're cruising hard to make it to our winter mooring, which is in Braunston in Northamptonshire. Braunston is very famous in narrowboat circles because it's the junction between the Oxford Canal and the Grand Union, and it's the busiest stretch of the canal on the entire network. It's called the Heart of England's Waterways and is absolutely steeped in canal history, but more on that when we get there. We've made it to Fradley Junction, where we're coming off the Trent and Mersey and onto the Coventry Canal. This is apparently a great place to stop for lunch, but we had no time to do that. We stopped off briefly to top off our water tank again and had lunch on the road and kept on going. I have to say, as soon as we got to the Coventry Canal, navigating the boat became so much easier because the canal just opened up and got so much wider. We were joking that it felt like we'd started playing a video game on hard mode and then suddenly someone flipped a switch and we were in beginner mode again, and it was so much easier. At 70 feet, our boat is really quite long, so there's definitely a learning curve to steering it. You're steering from the very back of that 70 feet of pure steel, and it takes a while to work out your pivot point and kind of how the boat turns. And then there's fun things like wind to consider, and doing this in a wider canal really helped. Because we moved at a very leisurely pace earlier in this journey, we're now going really hard with all-day cruises, starting early in the morning and mooring up just before it gets dark. A lot of hours of driving, which was actually really good practice. I was getting more comfortable steering, though there is still quite a lot of flapping going on at bridges. Matilda was completely uninterested in what we were doing once she realised that all of her standard needs were catered to, so she just slept on the sofa all day. She did come out and have a little look, fully supervised obviously, but she didn't enjoy all the engine noises and the wind, so she just left us to it. We were trying to push through to the next good mooring and flew a bit too close to the sun on this day. It was basically fully dark when we entered this woodsy area, which went on for ages. There was no one around and it was quite creepy. I hope this isn't how our horror movie starts.
Yeah.
With me filming and
then something runs through the shot in the background, and we're like, what was that? It's getting real dark.
Look, this is the sign that says no something.
Yeah, it's too dark to see it.
Beware, danger, keep out. Wow.
It turns out there's a firing range used by the Ministry of Defence, so that's interesting. Anyway, we moored up straight after we got out of the scary woods, and then we walked for ages to the nearest place with shops, and then we got fish and chips for dinner. Once we were on the Coventry Canal, there was a really interesting change in the landscape around us. I find it really cool how on the boat you can be in a really rural area one moment and then right in the middle of a town the next. There's a lot of variety in where the canal takes you. And as we were cruising through these areas towards Coventry, it was much more urban or suburban than where we had been previously.
What?
What did he do?
And it was very fun on the garden front. This was peak gardens, really. This was the highest concentration of really elaborate canal side gardens that we saw. Almost everyone clearly puts loads of effort into their garden, and it was very entertaining.
What is the reason? Jesus.
We were coming up to Atherstone Locks, which is a flight of 11 locks, 5 of which are close together and the rest are a bit spaced out. So we thought we'd see how far we could get through them before it got too late. We knew we probably wouldn't be able to go all the way through, but we'd give it a go. We ended up mooring up between lock 5 and 6, so in the morning we were straight in there. We were the first people through, going up in the locks. They had lock volunteers to help, which was brilliant. They helped operate the locks and saved a lot of running back and forth, and were really great to chat to.
Hiya. Morning. Would you look like we disturbed them?
This is Hawkesbury Junction, also called Sutton Stop, after a family of lock keepers who operated the lock in the 19th century. And here we leave the Coventry Canal and move on to the Oxford, which will take us all the way to Braunston. This junction was horrible to turn into, especially in the wind and with an audience from the pub.
Did this lock need to exist? No.
Why are you there?
We went up about 2 inches, if that. That junction was hell, and everyone at the pub was taking videos.
Well,
So
we didn't
that's
fuck it
good.
Too badly.
We didn't fuck it up. They were videoing it for just background colour. So yeah, maybe they'll all clap when we walk into the pub. What a Sunday roast. What a roast.
After lunch and a pint, just one pint obviously because we were operating heavy machinery, we continued on and drove literally into the sunset and kept on going. We stopped for our first pump out. We have a toilet tank which needs pumping out every 2 weeks or so, which was absolutely fine. It wasn't even gross.
Parked under a tree, have you? Don't know what all the fuss is about.
I can't believe we're almost there, and one whole day ahead of schedule. Well done us. So what's next? Winter mooring lasts from November until the end of February. You can choose any part of that time period, you don't have to do the whole thing. But we thought it seemed like a really good idea to have a kind of home base for our first few months on the boat while we're getting settled in and working out what we need and we don't need. We're planning to be continuous cruisers, so we won't have a permanent mooring for the rest of the year, but over the winter it's harder to move around. There are stoppages in the canals for repairs, and sometimes you can get iced in, and obviously everything with boating is harder in the winter because weather. There's a limited number of winter moorings in popular locations, and you have to pay for it too, it's not free. You get absolutely zero amenities, it's literally just the right to be parked up on a specific stretch of canal and not needing to move every 2 weeks. I got up at the crack of dawn to be online the second winter moorings went up, but it was fine, I got it. I've done Ticketmaster for Harry Styles tickets, I've trained my whole life for this moment, so this was nothing. So our mooring is reserved and we can stay there for the whole of the winter, and we just need to move briefly to get water and pump outs whenever we need them.
I think that's the last lock. Okay.